Welcome to the Calm Mom Podcast, the show for ambitious women ready to get off the hot mess express. I know you've got a lot going on. You work so hard, you're raising an incredible family, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. I'm your host, Michelle Grosser. I'm a certified master life coach, attorney, wife, and mom. And years ago, I was right where you are. I was running a busy law practice while raising a family, and I was on the fast track to burnout. I thought I just needed to be more organized or have better routines, but it was learning how to heal and regulate my nervous system that expanded my capacity to gracefully hold more of this big, beautiful life. You too are worthy of an extraordinary life in and beyond motherhood. Learning to be a calm, anchoring presence in your home and at work is going to be your superpower. If you're here to do the inner work that brings a sense of calm amidst the chaos, I'm here to join you on that journey. Each time you press play, your growth continues. So let's get at it. Hey, welcome to the Calm Mom Podcast. It's your girl, Michelle Grosser here. So grateful you're with us. We're going to talk about burnout today. We're going to talk about how we can recognize it. I think sometimes we wonder, am I just tired? How tired is tired? And what's the difference between being tired and burnout? And we're going to talk about it today. We're going to look at 6 critical symptoms of burnout that you might be overlooking, especially if you are a high achiever, if you are a mom, if you are a type A, high producer, like a lot of us tend to be. I think this is going to be really helpful. Before we jump in, I want to ask you a favor. If you have not yet followed the show, would you go to the show's main page and make sure that you have hit that little follow plus button on the top of your phone screen so you follow the Calm Mom Podcast and you don't miss any new episodes. And then if you haven't yet left the show a 5-star rating or a short review, if you could do that today, holy moly, I'd be grateful. You guys really are the best. And I am so grateful for every single one of you that tunes in and listens and is a part of this community. I'm giving you all this big virtual hug. All right. So in burnout, there is a surge of cortisol, which is our stress hormone. And there's an activation of our sympathetic nervous system. That's our fight or flight response. And that surge in cortisol and that activation of our sympathetic nervous system, it impacts our brain. It impacts functional parts of our brain, right? What our brain does, it impacts the structure of our brain. But there are also physical symptoms, physical manifestations of burnout that a lot of us overlook. And I think the other thing that I'm really learning about with myself and then one of my children is high sensitivity, a higher sensitivity in our nervous system. I think I am highly sensitive. I'm learning this. The research is showing that about 1 in 10 of the population, so 10% of us, have highly sensitive nervous systems. And the research also shows that burnout is much more likely to happen in people who are particularly sensitive. And for the longest time, I thought that when you said you were sensitive, it meant that you cry a lot, like that you can't take a joke or something like that. And maybe that's true. I don't know. But what it really means is that your nervous system is wired in a way that it's more sensitive than other people. So you might become more overstimulated more quickly than other people, right? Like they can have all the sounds and the bright lights and the dings and the pings and the people talking and all that stuff happening and it doesn't bother them. I cannot. I can handle that for a certain amount of time. And then I'm like, okay, I need quiet now. I need no noise and bright lights and people talking to me. Can I just have a moment, right? I'm more sensitive to that and I'm more prone to becoming overstimulated. We tend to be more empathic. We tend to be able to read the room better. We tend to be able to notice other people's moods and energies more than others because we're more sensitive to it. It also can be a superpower, right? It makes us really able to care for others and ask what's going on and really be there, notice things that other people might not notice. But if you resonate with that, just know that you're more likely, like I am, to experience burnout because our nervous systems are so sensitive. So just something to be aware of. All right. So I want to run through these. I just put together 6 symptoms of burnout that I think a lot of us overlook. Like I think when we think of burnout, we just think of that like chronic tiredness and exhaustion where I'm just like waking up tired. And I think that is a sign of burnout. Don't get me wrong, but there's so many other signs that are so much more subtle, or we just don't associate them with burnout, right? We think it's something else. So let's go through those and just kind of keep a tally what you're noticing for yourself. And this isn't meant to like, spur you into this panic mode. This isn't meant to make you feel shame. It isn't meant like none of that. The purpose of this is to grow in awareness, because awareness is always the first step to anything, right? Like we cannot intervene in a world that we cannot see. You cannot do anything in about your burnout if you are in complete denial that you have burnout. So this is a really good practice of just being honest with ourselves and being like, wow, I really feel like I resonate with 1 or 2 of these symptoms of burnout. I should look into this. Or, oh my goodness, like I think I have all these symptoms of burnout. This is great. I'm so grateful that I realized this, because I'm going to make it a priority to take a look at this and learn how I can heal, because holy moly, I deserve to feel good, right? Okay, so let's go through it just kind of with that caveat. That's how I want you guys to enter this, with that mindset. The first symptom, super common symptom of burnout that so many of us overlook, guys, is anxiety, increased anxiety. And it kind of sounds counterintuitive, right? I'm so burnt out that I should feel tired and like I'm in a dorsal vagal shutdown, right? That part of my nervous system where I'm in a freeze response, but it doesn't always show up that way. It's not always just like, I'm done, I'm shut off. Sometimes when we are experiencing burnout, we actually feel a lot of anxiety. And this is why. When we are burnt out, our nervous system has been on high alert, right? And it's like our body's smoke detector, that alarm in our brain, our amygdala has been constantly going off, even when there's no fire. We have been under chronic stress for so long that it has ramped up our anxiety to the point where we have felt like we're always on edge. Maybe you relate to this. I certainly have been there, right? And what happens when we're in that state in our nervous system is that our body releases all these different stress hormones. So we talk a lot about cortisol. We talk a lot about adrenaline, right? These are great for short-term bursts of activities if we're being faced with an actual threat or with something that we actually have to like have a little bit more energy for, right? Maybe you're giving a big talk, or maybe you have to you have a deadline you have to meet, or maybe something's going on with your family and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know, someone's coming over in 20 minutes. I gotta get the house cleaned, right? Like those kinds of things, our body releases cortisol and adrenaline to spur us into action. And that's how it's designed, right? It's great for these short bursts of activities. But if we are constantly under stress and we're constantly going 100 miles an hour, what happens is that we are flooding our system with cortisol and with adrenaline, and it's not how our body was designed to function. Those were meant to be released in short spurts when we needed them. We would move, we would run, we would fight, we would metabolize those hormones, and then we would come back down to baseline stress level. When we reach burnout, we are not doing that. We're just chronically flooding our system with cortisol and adrenaline. We're not metabolizing those hormones like they're intended to be metabolized. We don't move enough, right? We don't do the things that our fight or flight response wants to do, i.e. we're not running or fighting. And we're sitting at our desk, or we're sitting scrolling on social media, and these hormones are just pumping through our system, and it makes us feel super anxious because our body doesn't feel safe enough to shift out of fight or flight and return to baseline stress level. So what can we do about it? Grounding techniques are so helpful if you're experiencing anxiety. If you're moving your body, getting some of that energy to flow, and then doing something like deep breathing, mindfulness, some stretching, like a meditation, Pilates, like whatever that looks like to help your nervous system bring down your stress levels is going to be helpful for you. The other thing, you guys know I can't shut up about Happy Juice. It's a supplement protocol that I've been taking since January. One of the main components of it is it's designed to help you balance your cortisol levels. So if you have been in fight or flight, and a lot of this resonates with you today, you can check out the link in the show notes for my story and also a code to save $10 on Happy Juice if you guys want to try it. It has done wonders for me to balance my cortisol levels, to balance my hormones, to give me more sustained, clean energy throughout the day, and really just help my nervous system heal. So if that's something that's interesting to you, make sure to check that out because I cannot give it my stamp of approval any more than I already have. And I'm not going to shut up about it because it's that good. All right, so that's number one. The second critical symptom you might be overlooking of burnout is if you're just feeling irritable and edgy. I hate this feeling. When it comes up, I'm just like, dang it, it's here again. And I just like hate everything and everyone. And I'm just in a bad mood. And it happens sometimes, right? But it happens a lot when we're in a state of burnout. Why? Burnout just has a way of turning even the most, calm mom, the most patient person into someone who can snap and overreact at the smallest things. And it's because your brain's prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that really helps with self-control and emotional regulation, which are critical to our mood, right? When that part of our brain, when we're burned out, becomes overwhelmed because it's so fatigued. Chronic stress depletes our brain's resources. So what does it do? It leaves us with less patience. It leaves us with a shorter fuse, and we feel irritable and edgy. So if this is you, where can you start? I think prioritizing quality sleep and rest is huge. Taking regular breaks, not just going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next all day from like 6 a.m. until 10 p.m, but actually taking 5 minutes, 10 minutes between tasks, between meetings, between events, between rushing your kids all over the place to let your brain rest and recharge, right? How can you set boundaries around that? The other thing I think that is so helpful when it comes to irritability and edginess is, you guys, we've got to improve our emotional hygiene tools. If we are feeling upset, we've got to do something with all of that frustration or anger or disappointment or sadness. We can't just suppress it and repress it and continue with our day. Like if we're feeling edgy and angry and frustrated, we got to do something with that, right? That takes up energetic space in our body, which will lead us to feeling more exhausted and more tired and more burnt out, which will what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? It's like I'm edgy, which is leading to my burnout, and then I'm burnt out, which is causing edginess. So we want to make sure that we have a way to discharge a lot of that. And we work through that big time inside of Restore. And the fall cohort, you guys have heard me talk about it. It starts in September. If you've been wanting to join through the year, this is the last time in 2024 that we're going to offer it because it's offered quarterly. So this is the last one. So I would love for you to be in the fall cohort of Restore because we're going to talk about all of this stuff. Okay, number 3, the third sign that you might be overlooking, that's a sign of burnout, is that you're experiencing brain fog. So if it is hard to concentrate, if you are okay most of the day and then, 2:30, 3 p.m. hits and you're just like brain dead, like you're just staring into space. I've been there. I know what it feels like. You're just like reading the same thing over and over. You can't focus. You can't get stuff done. You're just kind of like wandering through the house. You open the fridge. You don't know why you're there. You can't find anything. You're like, where are my keys? Where, all this stuff. It's like, that's a sign of burnout, you guys. Concentrating feels like you're wading through quicksand, right? It's just like so hard. You're stuck in molasses. Your brain is exhausted from being in this constant state of alertness, this constant state of stress. And that chronic stress, what happens is that the stress, the hormones that are released, it really disrupts the communication between different parts of your brain. So our hippocampus, our prefrontal cortex, parts of our brain that are so important for our memory and our focus, they are compromised when we've been in chronic states of stress. So what can we do about it? Guys, slow down. Like if I could just leave you all with one thing, like the number one thing that's going to help your nervous system heal is for you to just slow the heck down. Slow down. Sometimes I even challenge myself because this feels very much against my patterning and conditioning in nature. Also, if you're like, yeah, that's better, easier said than done, right? It's like sometimes I'll challenge myself, like, okay, Michelle, start to the day. You're going to go as slow as you flipping can. Like take the slowest shower, right? Instead of like rushing in the shower and in 30 seconds, like my hair is washed and my legs are shaved and I'm out of the shower. It's like, slow down, slow down, right? Can I brush my teeth slowly? Can I brush my hair slowly? Can I read my Bible slowly? Can I journal slowly? Can I like make myself breakfast slowly? And I'm interrupting the pattern of busyness. I'm interrupting the pattern of like urgency and hustle and faster and harder and more and all that stuff that leads to a dysregulated nervous system to begin with. And it really sets a tone for my day and reminds me to like slow the heck down. So just slow down, simplify your tasks, right? Take breaks, break stuff down into smaller manageable pieces, set realistic expectations for yourself. And again, like mindfulness, meditation, a lot of these things just help our brain rest and heal, which can help clear up some of that mental fog. The other thing about happy juice, I said I was done talking about it, but I'm not, because one of the components of happy juice is a powder called Edge Plus. And Edge Plus is for mental clarity. It's for motivation. It helps with like productivity, and it eliminates brain fog, which is exactly what we're talking about. So that's another benefit. And I have certainly noticed a difference also from happy juice with my brain fog. Okay. So that's number 3. Halfway through this, number 4, the fourth symptom that you might be overlooking is that you're easily overwhelmed. So I talked about this at the beginning about a sensitive nervous system. Like if you're experiencing sensory overload, if you feel like you're easily overwhelmed, that's a sign of burnout, my friend. The loud noise is just like everything's annoying, right? The bright lights, it's too much. You're like, oh my gosh, my eyes, like it's just like annoying me. A crowded room, right? A lot of kids making noise, your kids' TV shows or their music. Like when everything feels like too much, you're probably burnt out. Because what happens is that your sensory processing system, it becomes like really hypersensitive because of the overaction of your sympathetic nervous system. That's your fight or flight response. So guys, like, what do we do about it? Turn stuff off. Turn off all the notifications on your phone. I turned off every single notification on my phone. I don't even have notifications for texts or emails or social media. I have set times during the day that I will sit down and for 10 minutes, I will go through my phone and I will respond to texts and I will respond, to social media comments and all of that stuff, emails, but it is not dinging and pinging at me all day long because that's super distracting, first of all, and I can't get into any deep work. But second, it overwhelms my nervous system when I look down and it's always something that wants my attention, right? That is not good for my nervous system. So what can you calm? What like stimulus can you take away from your day to day? Maybe it's like putting on a pair of noise canceling headphones while you make dinner. I have done that. Maybe it's dimming the lighting, right? Turn off the music, turn off the TV, just being in silence. Last night, actually, we celebrated Ashton's birthday and we took some friends to Build-A-Bear and then we crossed the mall and we went to the arcade that's there. And y'all, if you have a sensitive nervous system, a kid's arcade is like one of the worst places you can spend a long time. Yeah, and I did. And I went and we were there for a few hours and we got home and the girls grabbed their iPad and they were like sitting on the couch listening to a show. And then Jeff sat down and he turned on the Food Network in the living room. And it's like, Guy Fieri, like diners, drive-ins and dives at a volume that felt very loud to me. It probably wasn't, but it felt very loud to me. And I was just trying to lay there on the couch and be with everyone reading a book. And y'all, I just couldn't. And I didn't like throw a fit. I just got up and I'm like, I need a little bit of quiet. I'm just going to go lay in my room for a minute. And I got up and I took my book and I went in my room and I dimmed all the lights and I got my like snuggly blanket and I laid in my bed and I like put on some really soft music with no lyrics and I had my book and I just breathed and I was like, oh, this feels so good. This is exactly what my nervous system needed. But 10 years ago, I wouldn't have known to do that, right? I wouldn't have had that awareness. I would have just been super annoyed and edgy and overstimulated and probably snapped and been like, turn that down or whatever it is. But now I know better and I can do better. All right, number 5. The fifth symptom you might be overlooking, tense muscles, clenched jaw, TMJ, neck pain, shoulder pain, back pain. Your body stores stress in your muscles, and it leads to tightness, and it leads to pain and aches and all of those things. And it's your body's physical way of bracing for impact, right? Think about that for a minute. When you think you're being like, there's something coming at you, right? You're going to get in a car accident or like someone throwing something at you. The first thing that you do is you brace for impact. Every muscle in your body tenses. And the same is true when we are perceiving, our body is perceiving some sort of threat, right? We've been under chronic stress. Our body braces for impact, and it's tight and it gets sore, and our jaw is clenched and our tongue is pressed to the roof of our mouth. You guys might even be experiencing that right now as I'm talking about it, right? Chronic stress keeps our muscles tense. And I'm actually super excited because I haven't like officially announced this yet, but on September 10th, I'm going to be hosting a free live somatic workshop where I'm going to jump on Zoom. You guys, the information is going to come. You guys can register for it. It's going to be free, but I'm going to walk you through a somatic release workshop, and I'm going to teach you different ways that you can release stress from your body. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited for it. So if you're someone who has a calendar, like right now, just put that in your calendar, September 10th at noon Eastern, 12 p.m. Eastern. More information to come, but we're going to jump on Zoom for an hour, and I'm going to teach you guys body-based tools to release stress from your body. Learn those on September 10th, and you can use them for the rest of your life. It's going to be awesome. And so what do you do, right? Physical activity is so helpful. Moving, stretching, progressive muscle relaxation. We're going to do that on September 10th. Learning how to release this tension, even getting a massage. Like I used to think of a massage as like superfluous self-care, like something that was just nice to do once in a while that I really enjoyed and was like a treat for myself. Now I get a monthly massage religiously because I know how much my nervous system and my body needs that, right? It's like just as important to me as brushing my teeth or like eating nourishing foods. Okay. And then number 6, the last one, is that maybe you have been suffering from some chronic conditions. Maybe it's something like IBS. Maybe it is skin conditions. I have dealt with skin conditions most of my life. It was so bad when I was like in middle school and high school and college. And lo and behold, when I started to learn how to regulate my nervous system, that skin condition cleared up. Like it just went away. Maybe it's an autoimmune condition. But here's the thing. Burnout doesn't just affect your brain. It messes with your entire body, you guys. Chronic stress can exacerbate and can trigger conditions like IBS, autoimmune conditions, skin conditions, anything related to inflammation. Stress weakens your immune system. It disrupts your gut-brain axis. Another reason to take happy juice. Happy juice restores your gut-brain axis. It heals your gut-brain axis. That's the communication channel between your brain and your gut. So important to so many parts of your well-being, but it's important for your mood. It's important for how you manufacture energy, right? Inside of your cells. It's important for the production of serotonin and dopamine and all of our feel-good neurotransmitters. It's so important. But when we're under chronic stress, that leads to inflammation, which, then spurs on a whole host of other physical symptoms. So you really want to focus on like a balanced, rich diet, right? Anti-inflammatory foods, staying hydrated, practicing stress reduction techniques. We're going to go over a ton of those on September 10th. And then really maybe even working with someone, right? On how you can tailor your lifestyle and your diet to support your overall health and the resilience of your nervous system. And healing from burnout, you guys, like it's a journey. There's probably a lot of you sitting here like listening that are like, oh my gosh, I resonate with most of these or all of these. And I've been there. I've experienced every single one of these. And I know I'm not alone. I've heard from so many of you that are in the same boat. And I just want to encourage you that healing burnout is a journey of self-compassion. It's a journey of gentle care. It's a journey of learning how to prioritize rest and set boundaries and reconnect with activities that bring you joy and bring you peace. And, this constant reminder that like you're doing better than you think. You guys can take steps to care for yourself. It's the most powerful thing you can do. But when you do it from a place of like gentleness instead of punishment, and you're listening to your body and you're giving your body the love and the care it deserves, like, holy moly, our brain can change, right? All of the stuff that we've just gone over is reversible under the right treatment modality. So if you want to address burnout, you're going to need to work with a lot of other parts of your life. You're going to have to work on things that you thought were personality traits, right? Healing your nervous system, looking at your coping mechanisms for stress, right? How are you managing your emotions? What kind of boundaries do you have to set? How's your mindset around all of this stuff? And I would just encourage you guys, this is probably a great place where if you have not yet listened to my private podcast series, Heal Your Burnout, go ahead and go there right now. I'll put the link in the show notes for you guys. It's absolutely free. It's 5 episodes. It introduces one, like, where are you on the burnout scale? And then you can look through and learn about my 6-step framework to healing burnout. And I think that's going to be a great place for you to start and a great resource for you. All right, my friends, thanks so much for listening today. I'm believing that if some of these symptoms resonated with you, that you actually feel encouraged because you understand that you do not have to live like this. You do not have to put up with feeling like this. There are resources available to you. There are tools and techniques and habits that you can put into practice. I would love to teach them to you inside of Restore. That will make a huge difference in how you are feeling. All of this can be healed. All right, my friends, I love y'all so much. I'll talk to you guys soon.
If you love Mommy's Podcast, leave a review.
If you enjoyed this episode, it would be so awesome if you could take a moment to subscribe and rate the podcast. And if you have just a few more seconds to leave a quick review, they really help to get this podcast out to other moms like you. I read every last review, and trust me, when it's late at night or early in the morning before my kids get up and I'm working on bringing you all of this content, your reviews are what keep me going. Leaving a review is truly the best way you can thank me. And of course, DM me on Instagram. I love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to another episode. Head over to the show notes for this episode and all past episodes at michellegrosser.com, where you'll find free resources and more ways to connect with me. If you love the show, share it with a friend. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.